And finally, here are my do's and don'ts of web typography. Comic Sans, of course. I don't like it when people just use a system font, especially Comic. Papyrus, also system font, has become a running joke. I think you've seen these YouTubes. And French Gothic, arguably, could still be used. I don't know why people love Futura that much. It's not me. Then don't use hard to read fonts for text. Bodoni is not a text font for me. I think it's a headline font. So I think this is very, very hard on the eye to read, and it's not meant to be on screen, this font. This one isn't meant to be on screen either. The line height is important, so there's a big don't to make too much or too little. A lot of times designers from print come to the web and they stuff everything on the page. I don't think that the web is endlessly, there's enough room below this forever. You don't have to scruff everything in the top in a very tiny space. Give it some more breathing room. Too many font styles, of course, are confusing because every time you see a new font, you have to sort of evaluate why is it there. And it takes time. That could be fun, but maybe you don't have all the time. If your website's very informational, that's what you came for. If you come for the look, then maybe that's appropriate, but otherwise keep it to sort of a minimum that's easy and to grasp it right away. And this one, once again, you have all the space in the world on the web. You don't need to put everything in a box. You don't need to make everything bold. You don't need to make everything all caps. You have so much more space to work with. On the web, I don't think justifying text makes sense because people can change the text font by default. They can make them larger if they have trouble reading small text, or they can make it much smaller if they feel that's more comfortable. So if you're overriding their default by adjusting text, you're creating these huge rivers in between, and you cannot individually kern type on the web. You could, but that would be extremely hard. You never know what devices people use, so it wouldn't be fair to assume that you know the width of the text that they're looking at, or if they're even loading that font. So you might create very, very large rivers, like on the text here. The rivers are the spaces in between those words. It looks ugly. Big don't I see is using typefaces that are inappropriate for the reference because you don't know the historical context. Bodoni is all forever Italian fashion. DIN is the Deutsche Industrie norm, so it is a German industrial typeface. It's meant to be used like this. Gil Sans is very British because he's just the type designer that has formed a lot of the British typography. Helvetica is forever Swiss and that international kind of design. And Verdana was designed for the web, so it's very legible at very small sizes. If you use them in the wrong context, then it looks like you haven't done your homework and researched about this, and you don't. Like, if you use them in the wrong context, then it looks like you haven't done your homework, and it might look funny. So these are my do's and don'ts, very basic ones, though.